Welcome to the Finding Purpose LiveCast, where we feature authors, leaders, and speakers of purpose on a live platform to have truly authentic conversations. And now your host, Davin Salvagno.
Hey, Jarred, how are you?
I'm doing great, Davin.
Fantastic. Hey, I'm excited to have you here today on the Finding Purpose LiveCast. I'm here with Jarred Sparr, the CEO and founder of Zero Fee 123. And I met Jarred. We have a mutual friend, and Tim Turzin, who initially was supposed to be on this call with us, but we're going to schedule a second time specifically just with Tim. But Jarred, introduce yourself. Tell us a little about you and how we met through our mutual friend, Tim. And then I want to kind of get into your story of purpose and the impact that you're doing through Zero Fee 123.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. Met Tim, I'd say 4 years ago through a mutual friend. Ironically, he ran into some credit card processing patented software. I've been in credit card processing for 20 years roughly. And he wanted to validate that it was kind of real, if that makes sense. So what he had done was he contacted a mutual friend, and the mutual friend was the guy who actually does my mom's website, who said, "You got to talk to Jarred. He's a really good person as far as integrity goes. He can tell you if it's real or not." And I would trust what he says because he actually told me not to use him because it was a smarter decision for me at the time. So we met that way. Tim and I eventually went on to become partners in Zero Fee 123. I'm the CEO of the company. We have a third partner, Dwight, and we've been kind of off and running since then.
That's awesome. So people have no idea what 0123 is. Obviously, you mentioned kind of the credit card processing piece and the piece there, and keeping things in the spirit of finding purpose. We often think of, when we start talking about credit card processing fees, you think transactional, and purpose is very transformational. And what I love about what you guys are doing is what you're doing is very transformational for a lot of people, for a lot of businesses specifically. Talk to us about the purpose behind what Zero Fee 123 is and the transformational impact that you're having on others.
The little bit of a backstory is credit card processing is traditionally a percentage of the transaction. So it's pretty straightforward. It got a little more complicated as additional fees were brought in with rewards cards and prices went up. A lot of the sales guys kind of do the shell game of, I can save you money, and then the merchants have a bad taste in their mouth because of that. And I actually had a pretty decent portfolio in traditional. It was maybe 4 years ago, I lost a couple of the big customers. I'm like, they're on like virtually no margin. How am I losing these customers? And I did some research and found out that they're with a company that was basically passing the fee onto the customer, like the gas stations. So yeah, if you're not charging a fee whatsoever, that's way cheaper than me doing it at almost cost. So if you can't beat them, join them. I did some research, found an opportunity, and it's actually a patented program. We can do all 50 states, and we can do all card types and all transaction types, where we have competitors that can't operate in all 50 states. And what we do is we eliminate the credit card processing fees for our merchants by passing them on to the customer, just like the gas stations do. And for most of our customers, that's a big deal. It's typically, for the average business, a 30% jump in profit overnight.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard about this story, and I thought, well, as a customer initially, I thought, having that fee passed on to me, how would I feel about that? And then I saw what the gas stations were doing, and I'm like, well, that kind of just makes sense. And then when I saw the minimal impact it is to the customer, but the huge impact it is to the businesses, especially in times like this, to support them and keep them in business, where there's so many that are struggling right now. It's almost like you guys had the foresight to see what was, coming along, right? I mean, an extra dollar to me as a customer on a transaction is really nothing, but an extra $10,000 to a business on a multitude of transactions could be the difference between them staying in business or not. It's incredible that you guys had the foresight coming up front, and especially during these times in this pandemic, to help so many businesses stay alive, which is incredibly purposeful. So grateful for what you guys are doing. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think it's kind of cool because it's like the perfect storm. And I just had a conversation with a restaurant. I'm not going to say the name, but they have like 27 locations in Detroit. And the main part of the conversation was started with credit cards, but it went on to customer experience. So if you're a customer and you're in the restaurant 3 months from now, 6 months from now, we know that the world is changing and you're making a payment, you want to have minimal contact. So everybody's going to contactless payments. If you're not aware, most merchants are aware, contactless payments cost you 30% more. So to give that customer that security and safety and buying experience of contactless payments, the merchant's paying an extra $1,000 a month. That's a lot of money. And by passing that fee on to the consumer, you're basically saying there's an extra cost for your safety. And we've noticed that every business that's done it has had no issues with consumers, but they've actually gotten more customers because of the experience that they're providing for that customer. So it's a really good feeling to take those customers and kind of take the merchants, lead them down a path of self-discovery of here's what your problem is. Here's a solution. And it's not just a solution to the problem like a Band-Aid. It's going to get you through the next 2 or 3 years and help your business grow and become more robust as time goes on.
That's right. And that's an important piece about growth. And one of the things I know when we sat down and we were first talking about what you guys do is this isn't just about saving money for the customer. This is actually about helping them identify areas within their P&L where they can save, and then helping them repurpose that line for something that they've wanted to do, right? Maybe it's reinvesting in their employees. Maybe it's scaling their business. Maybe it's improving the overall experience for their customers, like you just alluded to. And so what you've done is you've taken a huge expense line for them and you found a way to basically remove that in such a minimal impact to their customer while helping them increase their overall experience, grow their business, invest in their people, basically expand their purpose as an organization.
Yeah. And I think when we spoke, we talked about you don't know what you don't know, and we try to help people figure out what they don't know.
That's exactly right. Kind of you're in their blind side, right? I like the movie The Blind Side. You help them see things that they didn't even know was there. And this seems to be something that's in your very fabric, right? I mean, this isn't your first entrepreneurial venture. You're kind of somewhat of a serial entrepreneur. You've done many things over your career. Walk us through a little bit about your background, even before 0123, kind of your professional, career and how you got your start and some of the things that you've done.
Yeah, I'll give you the Cliff Notes version, and it comes across as a little bit of a sad story, so I apologize in advance, but I am a serial entrepreneur, like you said, and I built businesses on top of businesses. So I'd build a business, acquire a second one, build another one, acquire. So as I did that, I think at one point I was at 1.8 million in sales, over 100 employees, 7 different businesses that were operating simultaneously, and everything was wonderful, right? Well, I had a series of bad things that happened. The first one was a divorce, and that was the single biggest check I've ever written in my life. It made me financially brittle, is a good way of putting it. The next year I got cancer. So obviously I was out of work for some time period, and while I was out, my employees embezzled over $600,000 from me. Going down that or through that experience, it kind of caused a domino effect because I made the mistake of having all the entities under one tax ID. So when the first one failed, where the embezzlement was, then the second one had to cover, and the third one had to cover, and they all ended up failing over a period of maybe 5 or 6 years. And it really taught me a lot of humility, how to be humble. It taught me on how to budget, obviously. I can say that, losing $2 million in 5 years, I'm really proud I never went bankrupt. But I also learned a lot where moving forward and working with business owners, I can show them things that they never imagined. Like you said, it's in their blind spot because they're full steam ahead. And I've experienced those firsthand. So I'm really passionate about things like, if you've got 5 businesses, make them all separate tax IDs. I know it's a pain for the accounting. I know it's a pain for payroll. I know it's an extra work at the end of the year. But if one of them fails, the other 4 are not affected. And that was the biggest mistake I made. If I would have just done that one thing, I would still have probably 1.6 million in sales right now. But it taught me a lot. And through it, I have to say that I'm grateful for the experience, because it's made me do things a lot differently, see things a lot differently, and appreciate a lot of things too.
You know, I know that's not an easy story for you to tell. But what I love about that story is it often takes us coming face to face with our own mortality to find the purpose in what we do. Right. And so you had this experience, obviously, where all of this loss because of these things you didn't do. And then because you were granted a second lease on life, so to speak, because you overcame that, you almost felt this responsibility to say, how can I take what I learned the hard way through not doing this and prevent others from doing that? It's kind of that concept of walking through a minefield, right? Do you want to be the first person walking through the minefield, or do you want to be the last person walking through the minefield? And in your case, you went through the minefield, and now you're reaching back and telling people, hey, don't step here, don't step here, step here, and leading them through their journey as an entrepreneur, you having done it several times. When would you say, and it might be in that story, when would you say is the first time that you truly found purpose in your work, when you realized that what you were doing was making a difference in the lives of others?
Probably as I knew that my business was going to close, and I was seeking out my second career, so to speak. I knew I didn't want to have employees. I knew I didn't want to have limits on income, and I knew I wanted to have residual income. So that kind of fell into the credit card processing world. And as I learned more about it, and I learned more every day, I realized how much I don't want to say give back, but how much. I'm not a salesperson. I can do a sales presentation, but I'm not like a knock on the door cold call. I work off of referrals. And generally speaking, the people that I work with already have a trusted person in between us. So there's some trust that goes along with it. So I can be open and honest and be kind of blunt with people of, let's have a conversation. Let's see how your business is doing. What are your goals? What are you doing to get there? And some things have nothing to do with what we do, but here's some opportunities I see that you can do it. And by getting into that field itself, because before I was more driven, I guess you'd say, more Jonesy. Let's see if I can get that new car or the new boat or whatever the case is. And now it's more of like, I've got a really small house. I've got a very conservative, low, expensive car with great on gas mileage, but I'm very happy. I have less stress, and the work part of it is so rewarding when I can work with someone and show them how. And usually there's some skepticism. And then once we get on the other side, it's like, I wish I would have done this sooner, or I wish I would have met you sooner to do what we've just done. And it's just to see what they do with those earnings, to see how they reward the employees or give back to the community or open a second location, or, it's really cool to see almost like the seeds that I'm planting grow into bigger things.
Mm. Why does that wire you? Why is it impactful when you see how you've invested your time, efforts, your insights into others, and then to see that impact actually take place, to see those seeds grow into bigger things? Why do you think that is rewarding to you?
It's a good question. I think it's just the way that I'm wired. I'm not necessarily 100% people pleaser personality style. But even when I had my business with multiple employees, we didn't like assembly line our employees. We would really work one-on-one with them on what's their goals. How can we help them succeed? So it's always been something where I've really wanted to help people succeed. And it's just the experience itself is rewarding. You feel accomplished that you've done something bigger than yourself.
Yeah. I think there's almost a hunger and a thirst for that. It shouldn't take, usually it takes a pandemic or something of this nature that's bigger than ourselves for us to come together and want to help each other or rally cry around something. But we can find those moments every single day, right? There's moments every single day for each of us to make a difference in the lives of just one person around us. And you're doing that business by business through 0, 1, 2, 3. You've done that, as you've coached and helped other entrepreneurs over the years. One of the things that I think that's going to come out of, the current times that we're in with coming out of COVID-19 is there's going to be this surge of entrepreneurs, of all these people who've been working from home and laid off and trying to figure out how to survive, especially with the next generation, millennials, Generation Z, those who are kind of wired to really be innovative and kind of forge their own path. What are some words of wisdom and insight that you would have to those that are listening to this now and that might be listening to this in the future on a recording? If I'm an entrepreneur, I'm starting up, what would you say to the younger version of you? Let's go back however many years.
Interesting that I've had this conversation probably half a dozen times in the last 2 weeks. It's generally, I'm really big on diversification, period. And I mean that in every possible way. If you have an income stream that you're working at, whatever, you're an engineer, what's your side hustle? And you have to have a side hustle, whether it's, maybe it's Mary Kay and that is a perfect fit for you, or maybe it's an actual business that you have employees and you're building it like a franchise, like a Big B or something like that. But you have to have something as a backup so that if one fails, you've got something to fall back on. So it gives you that sense of security. And then once you have some stability, then you can kind of move forward from there. A lot of business owners that I've talked to or people that want to start businesses, they don't have a lot of money. And I'm like, okay, but you can start a business by still working your normal day job. And I have a friend who wants to start a business cleaning company. So it's industrial. They only clean at night. So for her, she gets off work from her normal job. She cleans for 6 hours. She's got employees that clean all the way through the night. And it's just little things on procedure, having structure set up, having organization, because if you can't repeat it, you're going to be married to that business. You have to find a way that you can take a business and, like a franchise, follow step 1, step 2, step 3, and it's a predictable event every single time. There's always going to be those weird things that happen, but if 90% of the time you can predict what's going to happen, if this happens, this is how you react, then you as an owner can just manage your business and not work in it. And that makes a big difference as far as growth and as far as how far you can come to add employees and not be married into your business.
That is outstanding advice. Outstanding. That makes perfect sense. And you're right. You can very quickly become married to your business. It can consume you, right? It's been said that you don't run the business runs you. But you can control that. And I think those are probably the two biggest pitfalls that entrepreneurs and business owners fall into, is allowing the business to take over their life. And then the other piece of it is that when it gets hard, is just waving the white flag and giving up. And I think that there's so many people that die with their potential still inside them, die with their purpose still inside them, because either they allow something to consume them or things get hard and they give up. What I love about your story is, you could have allowed the excuse. I mean, you, of anyone, could have waved the white flag, right? Well, I got cancer. The things weren't protected the way they should have been. I had all these businesses. I lost them overnight. There was this domino effect, millions of dollars down the drain, hundreds of employees impacted. And you could have just hung up the skates, right? But you didn't. You got up, you laced them one more time, and look what you're doing now. That's such an inspirational piece. What is it that you think within you when you could have just stayed down for the count? Why did you get back up?
I think if you've heard the story, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. I've been very blessed to have the right people in my life at the right time. It's just when I need someone, they just show up and give me the inspiration, whether it's direction, whether it's motivation or something like that. And I think it's having them show up, but also recognizing that they're there, because a lot of people are so single-minded and they're so focused that they don't see that there's someone or something that could help them. And maybe they're just not receptive, but I try to be very receptive and listen to criticism, because you can learn a lot, and you don't have to take everything, obviously, but if it's someone that you trust, usually they have your best interest in mind. So yeah, I think I've been very blessed to have the right people in my life at the right time.
I think that's another sound piece of advice, is surrounding yourself with those people. And there's a term called balcony people. And, often we tend to see our lives running this way. We're running so hard towards what we want to accomplish, allowing things to consume us. And what we don't realize is that there's this cloud of people that are around us, especially today in social media, right? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all of these people watching to see, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep running? When it gets hard, are you going to press through? Are you going to run the race set out before you? And what encourages me is that we all have those balcony people. There are people in the balconies watching our race. And if we surround ourselves with the right ones that we know will step in or will drop into our lives in the moments when we need us most, that will continue to help us run those races. So I love your advice around, early entrepreneurs and what to do and what not to do. I love your story of adversity, of getting back up. And I love your inspiration behind the piece of having the right people in your life, surrounding yourself with those people, recognizing those people. And, I think one of the greatest things that we could do as leaders and entrepreneurs is to be those people for others in our lives, right? I'm sure there's someone whose life you dropped into that they were like, man, I was struggling, and then boom, Jarred dropped into my life. Is there a story that right now I could see the wheels going on in your head? Is there a story as we wrap up here of someone who, maybe they were struggling, maybe they were down for the count, maybe they didn't want to continue to press forward, and just like you had people drop into your life, you dropped into theirs, and that made all the difference?
I don't know about all the difference, but yeah, I can think of like a sales agent, and we don't have like knock on the door sales reps. We're a referral driven company. And we've kind of forced ourselves to be that way because we want to present ourselves differently. So most of our partners are like a CPA or a business coach or a business advisor, that type of person who has business contacts and is some influence. And we have one guy who, he's in transition and he's struggling and just trying to find direction, and it's funny because we get on phone calls and just the simple little things that we discuss, like don't sell on price, but sell on value. And, just changing the way that he perceives things, you can see the light go on and the excitement come in, and he goes back and he closes the sale and he comes back and he's all excited and he's motivated to do more. And, like doing sales calls are never easy, but when you have those successes and you have those experiences, it makes it so worthwhile. It's not just, obviously everybody likes the income and you want to have the residual, but it's that feeling that you've accomplished something and that feeling that you've made someone's life better. And, that's kind of what we try to do with our company overall. And with, with this individual specific person, it was very fun to see the transformation. And he's still, I think learning. He's still, because he didn't come from a sales background. So he's still kind of picking up on it. And it's fun to just see how things are working for him.
I think that is such a critical point. Sell on value. A lot of us don't even like the term sales, right? It's got a, kind of a connotation to it that people just resist over the years because there's people who have given a bad name to it. But really, all selling really is providing a service or an experience to someone where there's a need. And when done the right way, when done in a way where it adds value to their lives, like you said, you're a referral business, it makes all the difference for them. And it's done organically. It's done genuinely. That value piece is so critical. I could go and sell something and make $1,000 and then go spend that $1,000 and it's gone. But I can provide value and maybe get $1,000 in exchange for providing that value, spend that $1,000, but the value is eternal. It doesn't leave. And so as quickly as that money can be spent, you can look back, and what lives on is the impact that you had. What lives on is the difference that you made and the value that you provided to others. I think that's why we as human beings get so wired up. We get so excited when we see, wow, I helped make that happen. That's cool. That made a difference. It's so much more long lasting than whatever compensation that comes with it. Such good stuff.
Sure.
Man, well, Jarred, I've enjoyed, what's that? What'd you say?
It helps you sleep at night.
It does. You know what? It's funny that you said that, because one of the things that, you know, before I made a jump out of my corporate career and started doing some things, before I left that, the great leap, as my friend Dennis Mosley Williams calls it, I literally had my head on my pillow and said to my wife, you know, I can't remember the last time that I went to bed and can look back and say, you know, what difference did I make today? What impact did I make today? And that was an aha moment for me. That was 5 years ago. And it was that moment that I realized that I wanted to stop the hamster wheel. I wanted to stop just going through the motions and working for the buck. And I wanted to do something that every day I could put my head down on my pillow, like you said, helps you sleep at night, and look back and say, I made a difference here, here, or here. This person is better off, or this company is better off because I got up today. And I know there's a lot of people and a lot of companies that are better off because of what you do every day. So Jarred, I'm so grateful that we had the opportunity to share a little of your story of overcoming, of what you're doing through Zero Fee 123, and helping organizations repurpose some of those dollars to invest in their people, or to be sustainable, or to help grow their businesses. And I love the impact that you're making on other entrepreneurs whose lives that you're speaking into. So thank you for continuing to be a difference maker in this world.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it. We are here with Jarred Sparr, again, founder and CEO of Zero Fee 123. And you can check them out on their websites and on their social pages. And if you're following this at a later time, of course, these recordings will be available on our podcasts and on our websites at purposepoint.com. So Jarred, thank you so much again for your time today. And I'll look forward to seeing you out and about on the battlefield, making an impact with the lives of others. And I'm sure we'll have a chance to maybe have you and even Tim again on at another time, as you continue to share more stories of the difference that you guys are making together.